Hi, this is voice of the St. Joseph Sports Network, Matt Martucci, and you're listening to Sports and Rants on Radio 1851.
And we are live, back with special guest Jim Jackson. We said we were going to talk some Flyers. Jim, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, guys.
So, can you just take us through this season so far? It's been ups and downs all season.
It has been up and down, no doubt about that. It's been inconsistent performance by the club as well. As they have had their little winning streaks and the losing streak that has been unfortunate. 2 or 3 times they've been on winning streaks, and then the schedule has brought them 3 or 4 days off in a row, and then they've come back from that time off and lost. So the breaks haven't come at the time they needed them, that's for sure. But in general, I think the Flyers were looking at this as a transition year with Ron Extall taking over as general manager. They have a lot of good young defensive prospects that are on the way, but clearly not ready yet. And that, to me, looks to be the weakness of the team right now, as they need to upgrade on D. So, it's a transition year. You've still been able to watch Jake Voracek and Claude Giroux be at the top of the scoring charts pretty much all season. You've been able to see some other good performances by guys like Wayne Simmons, and Steve Mason's played well in net. So there have been some good performances, but overall, right around 500, and that's pretty much what they've been, an up and down team, and they've settled right about 500.
And we're on with Flyers commentator Jim Jackson. So, Jim, continuing off that, how do you think Berube has done coaching this team? You said it's a transition year. What are your thoughts on how he's done?
I think he's done as well as could be expected. The Flyers really have a need for puck-moving defensemen, guys who can make those great crisp outlet passes, be creative, moving the puck from their own zone to get the offense started. And they've lacked that at times. And they've also lacked the guys who can really do the job on the penalty kill, which has not been a strength for them, although it's been better of late. And so there are weaknesses that he's had to deal with that there's not much he can do about in terms of the talent that he has on hand. And I think he's done a fine job. I do believe he'll get a shot with this club if they do upgrade the defense, and we'll see how he does with that. Certainly last year he came on and got things turned around and got the team into the playoffs. He hasn't changed anything in terms of his coaching style, so he's capable of getting the job done. I think he just needs the right pieces.
With you being around the team every day, do you see how Craig Berube has changed the team in any way from once he got there?
Yeah, well, last year he definitely made changes. He simplified the system, got them playing a little bit more defensively. He doesn't play a sit-back completely system, a la the Devils of the 90s or some teams that are playing that now. Toronto has adopted that style since the coaching change. But he likes to attack when it's there, but you have to be responsible with that. And I think last year he got them into that frame of mind after taking over early in the season. And he hasn't changed the system this year. He's trying the same system, but it just hasn't worked as effectively in terms of on a consistent basis. There's certainly been glimpses when this team performs the system very well, and when they do, they look like a fast team that can get in on the forecheck, spend time in the offensive zone, get lots of shots. But then they have times where they can't seem to get out of their own zone, and that's been a problem for them this year.
To get more into that question, is there any difference from last year and this year that you saw in the locker room or the character that Berube has installed into the team?
Not at all. In fact, the one thing you can say about this team is they are very tight. They get along. There's not a lot of cliques as tend to develop with sports teams. It's really a group that likes playing with one another. They just haven't been able to go on that long run to climb into playoff contention. But as far as the chemistry of the room, it's fine. Claude Giroux's a fine captain. And there's a lot of guys like Wayne Simmons who are very vocal in their leadership. And there's not any guys on the team you would say are bad eggs. So it really is a good group that way, and that hasn't changed from last year. And it's part of what makes this a frustrating season, in that they're still 10, 11 points back in the playoff race. That they aren't closer because they are a pretty tightly knit bunch, and there does seem to be good chemistry with this club.
Now, in your opinion, what do you see as the future of this team? Do you think they're a year away, 2 years away, 3 years away? Because, like you said, there's young guys. They're still young. Claude Giroux's still young. Voracek's had his coming out party this season. Has been amazing. So what are your thoughts? How many years away are we from seeing a Stanley Cup contending Flyers team?
It's a very interesting question. They have, as you mentioned, a good group of forwards that are are right in their prime now in Drew, Voracek, Simmons, and others. So they have that group. But on D, they have a group that I think is still looking for a number one or a number two. And now they may have that in the pipeline. When you're talking about a Shane Gostisbehere, you're talking about a Travis Sanheim, a Sam Moran. These are guys that are looked upon as real good prospects. But I caution to say it'll be next year or the year after that with defensemen, because they usually take, especially the big ones like Sammy Moran, they usually take a little bit longer to develop. So it's an interesting question. If the Flyers go out and somehow are able to acquire a defenseman to solidify their defense, and then some of these young guys emerge, this could be a really good team in short order. But there's some ifs involved there. I mean, how long does it take the young defensemen to develop? Can they develop and become all-star caliber defensemen by the time that this group of forwards is still in its prime? That's the big question. If it does all happen at the same time, look out. This could be a very good team. But whether that's next year, the year after, or even the year after that, I couldn't give you an answer. You have to wait and see how these young guys develop, and wait and see if the Flyers figure out a way to go out and get maybe a defenseman. They're right up against the cap, so there's not a lot of cap space to work with. But things change. Players are moving along. Some of the contracts will eventually go away, and we'll see if they opt to upgrade the defense along with the young players coming, if they upgrade it with a move or two.
Now, as we continue on, have you spoken with Kimmo Timonen at all? Had interactions with him? How's he doing? And are we going to get to see that veteran leadership out on the ice soon?
Yeah, I've talked a lot with Kimmo. I mean, he has been frustrated by how long the whole process has taken. He had to let the medication do what it had to do before he could get any answers, and certainly there was some impatience there, I'm sure, on his part. It's got to be difficult for a guy like Kimmo to just sit and watch half a season, and now he's finally gotten word, and to go ahead, and he's skating, and we'll see what happens. I don't think we're at the point now where we can say definitely he's going to be playing, but he's going to give it his best to try to get on the ice and go out of the NHL the way he wants to as a player, not as a guy who's sitting out. It seems very important to Kimmo, and for all he's given the Flyers organization over the years, I think they feel they can give him that opportunity, and we'll see how it goes here over the next month or two.
Now, as we're moving on, you also are the one of the broadcasters on the Phillies broadcasting team as well, and we're seeing spring training starting up soon enough. What are your thoughts on the Phillies, and are they in the same situation, in your opinion, as the Flyers are?
Yeah, less than 2 weeks now till pitchers and catchers, so even though it's freezing cold up here, the baseball season isn't that far away. And they are, I guess you would say, in a similar situation to the Flyers. I think the Flyers have some more pieces in place, maybe when you're talking about a Hart Trophy nominee in Claude Giroux from last year, and the leading scorer in the league, Jake Voracek, this year, and Steve Mason seems solid in goals. So I think the Phillies are looking for those pieces now to move forward. They're hoping that guys like Mikhail Franco and as well as Cody Ashe and some of these young players down the road, Crawford, the shortstop, and some of these other guys are going to be those pieces. And if they are, that will move them on to a new era. It's quite obvious with the Jimmy Rollins trade and with all the talk of the Jonathan Papelbon trade, maybe even a move with Ryan Howard, that Phillies are looking to the future now and looking to move on, and we'll see how they get that done. Those trades are easier said than done. There's a lot involved in them, and we'll see if they're able to do more than just the Jimmy Rollins trade as we get ready for this season. Now,
I know, in my opinion, this past season was very tough to watch. In the broadcast booth, what was the situation like? What was the feeling in the booth watching this team as you saw the older guys on the team declining and the performance not where it was before?
Well, it's always more of a challenge as a broadcaster to broadcast, when you're broadcasting for a team at least, to broadcast losses as opposed to wins. There's no question about that. Winning is much more fun, but within the course of a hockey or baseball season, even when a team isn't winning a championship, there are usually some things to look at that are positives. And the Phillies last year, as down as everyone got about them, there were still positives there. Chase Utley got off to a great start, and for a while was quite a story. And then we saw Cody Ashe cutting his teeth at the major league level. Jimmy Rollins breaking the all-time hits record. There were positives. Cole Hamels a tremendous season. So within the overall frame of a season that maybe many are disappointed with, there's always positives. So you look forward to that. And obviously, as you look at the Phillies and Flyers, you're looking forward to the young players that are coming up and that are joining the cast at this point, too. So we all like to win. We all like to win championships. But as we know here in Philadelphia, they are to be cherished. We haven't had many, just the one in 30 years. So, you want to cherish your championships, and certainly we did cherish that championship in 2008. And now it's about trying to get back to that kind of perch for the Phillies, and we'll see how they do as they transition to a new era.
Now, continuing off that, what are your thoughts? We saw Ashley last year have ups and downs. He performed at the plate. Sometimes he struggled in the field. What's your thoughts on him? We're now hearing reports he's working in the outfield as well. Do you see that as a future as him?
Well, I mean, you look at Maikel Franco, you look at Cody Ashley, they both come up as third basemen. So one of them is going to move, or one of them is going to be moved to another organization. I mean, it's that simple. You can't have two third basemen. I know they hit from opposite sides of the plate, but you're not going to have two. You're not going to platoon those two. I don't think you're going to probably have both of them be in your everyday lineup eventually. So unless Franco becomes a first baseman, if they move Ryan Howard, you've got a bit of a logjam with the two of them, and I think they're bound to determine to give Franco, I should say. We'll call him Franco. He's Franco, of course. We got that news once he got to the majors last year. But once I think he establishes himself, I think the Phillies want him to be an everyday player, and I think Cody Ashley has shown enough to at least to merit a full season and a chance as an everyday player as well. And so maybe that is the outfield. He's a good athlete. It seems as though he might be able to handle that. And it looks as though they're going to give him a shot at that in the spring and see how that goes. And perhaps we can have both of those guys in the lineup from the get-go this season. We'll see.
All right, Jim, as we're wrapping up here, final question. We know you broadcast for both the Phillies and Flyers. Which sport do you like watching more? Which sport do you enjoy watching more? And which sport do you enjoy broadcasting more?
Yeah, I get this question a lot, and I have an easy answer for this one. I'm not sure. You guys might not understand it quite yet because you're young. But when you have children, you'll understand you have different children and you love them the same in terms of the amount, but differently because they're different people. I have a daughter, I have a son. I love them both, and I would never measure one over the other. They're both different people, so there's a different kind of love. That's the same as for the two sports. You couldn't be more different than hockey and baseball. And I love hockey for its pace and for the intensity and the emotion of it. I love baseball for its pace, which is a more leisurely pace, and the storylines that you follow during the course of the 162-game season, and just summertime and the crack of the bat and the pound of the ball against the mitt. Those are things that are unique to baseball that I love. So I never quantify one over the other. I love both of them equally, and I get just as excited for the start of baseball season as I do the start of hockey season, and vice versa. And it's fun to be involved in both sports.
Well, Jim, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time and all the insight you gave us on both the Flyers and the Phillies season.
My pleasure, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
This concludes our podcast of Sports and Rants with Brent and Pan. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on Twitter @Sports and Rants. Like us on Facebook. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes. And visit our website, www.sportsandrants.blogspot.com. It would help our rankings on iTunes if you rate and review our podcast. Thanks, and have a good day.